Welcome, video editors, video nerds, and everyone in between. My name is Jason from the Adobe Premiere Pro team, and today I am here to give you the definitive guide to color management in Premiere 25. We're going to cut through the nonsense, we're going to cut through the myths, we're going to cut through the workflow. In this video, I will teach you how to color manage all of your stuff, whether it's log, whether it's raw, whether it's Rec 709, whether it's HLG footage coming in from your iPhone. Doesn't matter. If you bring it in here, we can color manage it without requiring LUTs. Heresy, you say. Premiere Pro doesn't do cool stuff like that. Well, guess what? Now it does. We released a comprehensive new color pipeline under the hood in Premiere Pro. Essentially, we completely rewrote the entire color and image processing pipeline in the application. For many reasons. But let's talk shop for a second, for real talk. Most of Premiere Pro's time in the market has served long-form offline video editors, and these are folks where, I don't need to do anything more than cut a bunch of ProRes proxies, and because when I'm done with my project, I'm just going to ship it off. I'm going to ship off my color to a colorist. I'm going to ship off my audio to a sound designer. I'm going to ship off my graphics to a motion designer. But that's not the world we live in anymore. You need more. After spending years in close contact and collaboration with the pro video community and some of the brightest minds from the color science community, we rebuilt the pipeline simply because we had to. But here's the thing about color science, all right? Color science is hard. It's advanced. It's complex. It's complicated. No one's ever woken up on a morning and going, oh, I can't wait to greet the day and spend my entire day managing the color of the video I'm trying to put on YouTube. No one likes that. For colorists, managing complex color science to make everything just look good before you start working is our bread and butter. I've been a colorist for nearly 20 years, and look, I gotta be honest, even I find it confusing sometimes. The rules are always changing, the formats are always evolving, the needs are always shifting. And hey, wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a world where when you see what you see in the program monitor, you have confidence that what you're seeing here is going to be what you see when you open up your file in QuickTime when you're done exporting, or when you upload your video to YouTube? Boy, what a world that would be like. Well, guess what? You're living in it today. And I know you're out there searching YouTube videos, talking to ChatGPT, asking your buddies, being like, man, how do I just make this work? I've got Fuji F-Log, I've got Canon C-Log, I've got Sony S-Log, I've got some Red, and I'm just trying to make this look good. So the best thing about this color management pipeline is that we made it simple and approachable and as invisible as possible for video editors. You should not need a PhD in color science or have a lab coat level of education in complex color science to see nice looking clips and good shit on your sequence. It kind of kills the vibe. You shoot all of this log, you put it into Premiere Pro, and before you can even start working, you have to do all of this busy work and all of this tedium just to get everything where it needs to be before you start editing or color grading. I don't want to live in that world. No one on the Premiere Pro team wanted to live in that world, so we changed it. It took a lot of people, a lot of very smart people, a long time to completely rewrite this image and color processing pipeline. Because at the end of the day, when you're shooting log, and I mean everyone's shooting log now, it doesn't matter if you're shooting on a Red camera, if you're shooting on one of these, everyone now has the access and the power to shoot 4K log content. When you're shooting log, you're technically capturing more color information than the human eye can see. You're capturing more color information than any monitor on earth is capable of displaying. And as a video editor who has to deal with the media management, the client communication, the editing, the color, the sound, the motion design, you don't want this stuff bogging you down, slowing down your workflow. This should just be, I'm importing, cool, looks good. Let's switch presets, that looks better. Okay, let's get to work. You can do all that right now. Premiere can now automatically transform all of your log content and all of your camera raw content directly to Rec 709 or HDR without needing LUTs. If you want to use LUTs, that's cool. We have no problem with LUTs. I have no problem with LUTs. I use LUTs all the goddamn time. It's fast. It's simple. It looks great. There's really two kinds of LUTs out there. There's a transfer LUT. That's the LUT that you might download from like Fujifilm's website or Sony's website based on what kind of camera you have, and you want to use that LUT to transform from log to Rec 709 or to HDR. if you're feeling freaky. How do you folks feel about HDR, by the way? When you're like making your social videos and when you're like making your YouTube videos, do you value HDR? Is it important to you? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. I'm an HDR fanatic, and maybe we should have another conversation and do another video about that. You have those transfer LUTs, and then you have a creative LUT. That's a LUT that you might have downloaded or bought online from a brand or a creator. Shout out to some of my buddies, Adrian Purr. He makes incredible LUTs. Check out his site. There's a link in the description below if you haven't checked him out yet, and follow him on all of his stuff. Also a really big fan of happyediting.co, this guy Ezra Cohen. I've spoken to him a couple times. He makes really cool stuff too. Let's hop back into Premiere. So I got this timeline right here. I have some Canon C-Log footage. I have a red R3D that's raw, and I have a clip of Fuji F-Log that was shot on Fujifilm X-H2S right at the front of the timeline. Now you might notice right off the bat that the Canon footage and the red footage is looking gorgeous because all that stuff has been automatically color managed. When you're bringing in camera original clips, for most cameras, Premiere Pro will now automatically recognize the log metadata of that clip and do the automatic log to Rec 709 or HDR transformation for you. So you don't have to do a damn thing. Let's reveal this in the project. Here's the clip right here. Let's go right click, modify, color, input LUTs, none. Using media color space, Canon's Log 2 Cinema Gamut. That's what it was shot on, right? So this is natively reading the Canon C-Log and doing that automatic transformation to Rec 709 for us. If you want this automatic transformation for your log footage, there's a couple important things. There's actually really one important thing that you have to do. Hop over to your Lumetri panel. You're used to seeing these Lumetri color tools in here. There's a settings tab right here. That's an important tab. And it's a cool tab to have open while you're doing color management work because every click you make here, you'll see a live monitor response right there after every click you do. You don't have to go into a menu, click OK, and then see the change. It's responsive and it's reactive. We did that on purpose. Okay, so the first thing you want to do here, you want to go into preferences here. You want to click on display color management and extended dynamic range monitoring. What that's going to do is essentially saying color manage to the output that I'm trying to get. So I have visually clear identification, and I know that what I'm seeing here is what I'm going to see when I export. Turn on display color management, turn on dynamic range monitoring. Next thing you're going to do, this is important, in this project menu, right here, you want to make sure Color Manage Auto Detected Log and Raw Media is turned on and Enable Color Space Aware Effects is on. You're only going to have to click this once, and once you have those two buttons clicked, it's going to be on by default in every future project that you make in Premiere Pro. Last thing, let's get this chestnut out of the way. You're color grading, you're doing your editing, you're exporting out of Premiere Pro, and then what you see on QuickTime looks like a little lighter. The shadows are like a little bit up, the black level's raised a little bit, and you're like, what the hell is this? This isn't what I shot. What you want to do is make sure that you are viewing the correct gamma curve in Premiere Pro while you're working. The default gamma curve is set to 2.4 for broadcast if you're making something for, for broadcast television. But what you want to do is click on this drop-down menu right here, and you want to go down and click either 2.2 for web or 1.96 for QuickTime. When you click on this 1.96 for QuickTime, you see how the image just got lighter there? When you click on 1.96 for QuickTime, this is going to show you what you will see in QuickTime when you open it there. Let's simplify what we're seeing because there's a lot of menus in here. You don't need most of them unless you want them. If you know what you're doing, if you are a color science expert, please, by all means, dive deep. But for most of us, we don't need it. So our Canon is naturally color managed. The red is natively color managed. This is huge also for the first time. We are color managing raw media for the first time. We are naturally converting red to 709 or HDR. One thing you might notice, as I show at the beginning of this timeline, this Fujifilm clip is not automatically color managed. And that's for a very important reason. Let's talk about the finer points of when your media will be automatically transformed to 709 or HDR and when it will not be. If you are using original camera media from a number of camera manufacturers, a lot of them, most of them, will do this transformation for you automatically because we can read that metadata on the log format in the source clip itself. Fujifilm is one of those camera manufacturers right now. Now, personally, I love Fujifilm cameras. They're the first camera maker to natively integrate Frame.io camera to cloud into their workflows. We'll do another video on that later. I'm a huge camera to cloud geek. And we've been talking to and working with Fujifilm. So hopefully someday soon all this is taken care of automatically. So that's source media. So again, if we do the automatic conversion, it's because we can read the metadata tag and the log. If you are bringing in proxies, if you are bringing in content without a color metadata tag, if you are bringing in log content that maybe you purchased from an online marketplace or stock website of any kind, you probably won't get the automatic conversion because all those clips have been transcoded in some way, shape, or form. And as soon as you transcode a proxy, as soon as you download a clip that was processed or transcoded to something else, we lose and we strip that precious log metadata from the container. Therefore, there's nothing for us to read. Therefore, we can't automatically transform it. Now, there's only a little bit of work involved in this, and it's really no big deal if you bring your log clips into Premiere Pro and you're like, hey, what? This jabroni on YouTube said that this was going to happen automatically. What the hell's the deal here? I'm going to go to this clip. I'm going to right click on it. Let's find it in the project. There's the clip right there. Now, all I have to do, and if I have a whole bin of Fujifilm stuff. In fact, I have another Fujifilm clip right above here. I'm just going to click both of them while I'm at it. I'm going to right click, go to Modify, Color, Input LUT, None. Now, if you want to use like the Fujifilm provided LUT to get you from F-Log or F-Log2 to 709, this is where you would import it. You would add the LUT right here. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose to either use the media color space. See, it's being tagged as Rec 709, even though it isn't because we don't have that metadata tag. Or I can override the media color space. And then I can go down here and I can select Fujifilm F-Log. That's the log format this clip was shot in. I am a really big fan of F-Log2, and I do most of my shooting on F-Log2. While we're on this menu, though, this is a really good opportunity to show you the comprehensive list of camera log systems, RAW formats, and video formats that we are automatically color managing and natively color managing in Premiere Pro now. When it comes to cameras, we've got Apple, Arri, Canon, DJI, Fujifilm, Leica, Nikon, Panasonic, Red, and of course, Sony. And we also color manage all the base video formats, whether it's something encoded in ACES CCT, whether it's Rec 709, Rec 2020, HLG. That's the stuff coming out of your iPhone when you shoot HDR. If you know, you know. So let's click Fujifilm F-Log right here. Let's click OK. And now look, now we're color managed. Now we're looking good, we're looking groovy, and we've color managed our whole timeline. Imagine if you were just editing this natively yourself without some guy yelling at you on the internet. All you would have done is just imported these clips, thrown them into your timeline. You notice that one Fujifilm clip is off, you right click, modify the color space, and you're in business. So we have no LUTs right here, and we have an entirely color managed timeline right now. Let me tell you also the science and the math behind this pipeline. It's incredible, it's gorgeous, it's modern, it's flexible. And you get the most out of it when you work in a wide gamut preset in Premiere Pro. Now let's talk about that for a minute. Here's where we really start getting into the details. Anytime you make a new sequence in Premiere Pro, you'll be prompted with your sequence settings menu. You can also access these anytime by going to sequence settings. Now you click on that, you'll see that there was a tab here that used to be called color, now it's called color management. Go ahead and click on that. Now you see for color setup right now, I have the default Rec 709. If I hit this drop-down menu, you can see I have a lot more options here. I have 6 presets. Direct Rec 709, Direct HLG and PQ, and then I have wide gamut with 3 different varieties of tone mapping, or I can completely disable color management altogether if I want pure log in, log out workflows with no fuss, no headache, no mess. That's a great option if you have SOPs at the company you work at, or if you're just like, look, I'm just using Premiere for editing, I'm going other places to do other things, and that's totally fine. Just bring it in, keep loggy as it can be, and just give me clean video in and out in the source format. We got you. But the default is Rec 709, and this direct Rec 7 system behaves identical to the older, not as cool, good color management system that we've had in previous versions of Premiere Pro. For a very important reason. Update to the latest version of Premiere Pro. We launched this in 25.2. I think we're now up to 25.4 now. When you update to Premiere Pro, we don't want you to freak out when your clips look different. We want to make sure that you have parity between project to project, your legacy projects, the projects you're already working on when you update. We need everything in your system to look identical when you update to the latest version of the software. That was very important to us as we designed this system. It's up to you, the user, to decide if you want to step in to a brighter, bolder world of better, easier, modern color management. Now, you can use direct HLG or direct PQ if you are working with just HLG or just PQ formats. That works well. Like if I'm only working with iPhone footage, or if I'm shooting only HLG on my DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which I have propped up here right now as my webcam, and I'm always shooting in HLG, I'm never shooting in D-Log-M. I think I might make a video about that, because if you're using D-Log-M, frankly, between you and I think you're using the camera not to the best of its ability. That is a very controversial hot take, and I'm planning on making another video about that soon. But wide gamut? Wide gamut is really where the magic happens. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on wide gamut, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, a lot just happened there. When I clicked on wide gamut, you'll notice there was absolutely no perceptual shift in the image itself. I don't see anything change, nothing looks different. But what we just did when we clicked on wide gamut is we fundamentally changed and upgraded and swapped out the entire image and color processing pipeline in Premiere Pro to the newer, more modern, better one. Think of it like this, okay? Let's first talk about direct Rec 709, right? And this is the color management system that we had in Premiere Pro before, which was fine, but not awesome. When you import, we would assume that you'd import, Rec 709 footage, and you'd work in a Rec 709 container for your editing, and then you would be exporting to Rec 709, one color space throughout the entire pipeline. As we all know, the world is not that simple. The world is a lot more complicated. You folks aren't shooting Rec 709 to Rec 709 to Rec 709. What you're doing is you're shooting S-Log, and you're shooting C-Log, and you're shooting Red Raw, and you're shooting all kinds of contents. And these color containers, the containers of these log formats, are significantly larger than the Rec 709 color space. The Rec 709 color space is actually a very small color space. So what we would have to do in the past in Premiere Pro is we would take all these super huge, large log color spaces, and we would just tone map them on the input, on the import. We would just cram them, just stuff it and cram it, like trying to stuff more into the trunk than what should be in the trunk of a car. And we were just cramming all that stuff into that tiny little Rec 709 color space, right? What you were doing, I don't know if you knew this, but technically we were all editing and color grading in Premiere Pro with one arm tied behind our back this entire time. And again, that's not cool, so we completely rewrote the system. What wide gamut does is it takes all of your log content, and for the working color space in Premiere Pro, we place all of your log content into a larger container. A container larger than any log format you would ever shoot with. That way you have headroom, and you have breeziness, and you have flexibility. That color space that we picked for the wide gamut container is a color space called ACES CCT. It's an industry standard wide gamut color space used in Hollywood and film and television productions. It is important to note, if you know what an ACES pipeline is, this is not an ACES pipeline in any way, shape, or form. We are simply using the ACES CCT color space as our intermediate wide gamut color space container. So you've got all of your big log formats. We're lifting them up and putting them into a super large ACES CCT wide gamut container. And what we're doing then is now we're tone mapping on the output, tone mapping down and out to Rec 709 or to HDR or to whatever color space you're exporting to. That's what you want. That's a real modern color pipeline. And since we have all that extra breezy headroom now in this wide gamut working color space, what we decided to do is make Lumetri and a number of our other first-party effects color space aware. What that means is we did a lot of the underhood work to Lumetri as well. So if I go to my Lumetri color panel here and I go to edit, so what we also decided to do now that we have this big, breezy, open, easy breezy, beautiful color space to work in, we decided to make Lumetri and a bunch of other first-party effects in Premiere color space aware. What that means is, as you're meddling with your sliders in Lumetri, whether it's exposure or contrast or whatever you're working with, what Lumetri can now do is it knows under the hood, oh, okay, I'm working with, this is a Fujifilm clip, this is a Canon C-Log clip, this is a Red clip. I understand and I know how these color spaces work, and I'm working in this super wide gamut ACES CCT container, and I'm tone mapping out to Rec 709 or HDR. So as Lumetri, I know exactly how to adjust the exposure, the contrast, all the color controls in here, respecting and utilizing all of that glorious log and raw data in your media while we're color grading in Premiere Pro. But don't take it from me. Let's show you how it works. Let's do a before-after comparison. Let's do some color grading with DirectRec 709, and let's do some color grading in wide gamut to see the difference. So I'm going to hop back to settings over here. Right now for my color setup, all the menus I just showed you in sequence settings, they're also available on the settings tab of Lumetri. So you can have this just like open whenever you want to meddle around with it. Let's hop back to DirectRec 709. And again, we just switched the whole color pipeline in Premiere Pro, but you see no perceptual difference in the image. Okay, so we're in Lumetri. We are currently color grading in the DirectRec 709 preset, the default preset, the old color pipeline preset. Let's take a look at the clip first. We have a very high contrast clip right here. I have a lot of shadow detail. I have a lot of nice highlight detail, and my highlights are coming all the way up to the top. All right, cool. So in DirectRec 709, the default preset, the representation of our old color pipeline in Premiere Pro, I'm just going to go to exposure, and let's just take it all the way down to like 3, right? That looks like hot garbage. Look at how pasty and ugly it looks. I would consider this an unusable color correction. In fact, like as a video editor, I never would have let my mouse get all the way down to 3.0 before just realizing, oh, nope, that's not a good idea. Let's bring it right back up, right? And that kind of cripples your ability to actually utilize all the dynamic range that's in your log media when you're doing your color grading and your video editing. And let's look at the scopes. Look at this. This is awful. Look what it did to this beautiful shot. Let's bring it back up and bring it back down, back to 3. Man, that looks like, it looks like crap. I lost all of my highlight details here. It just squished everything all the way to the bottom. That's not what we want. That's not a logarithmic color correction. So let's reset. Don't worry. Let's compare and contrast. Let's go back to settings over here. I'm going to switch from DirectRec 709 to wide gamut. No change to the image, but now we're in wide gamut. So now we're not using that tiny little Rec 709 working color space anymore. I'm not cramming F-log or C-log into that tiny little container. I'm taking my C-log and I'm placing it into a super large intermediate container, ACES CCT, and we're tone mapping on the output to Rec 709. Let's see what difference that makes with the color space aware Lumetri. Now let's do the same exact adjustment. Let's take exposure, drag it all the way down to 3. That's what you want to see. That's what a good color correction should look like. It's actually still a little too dark for my taste, but just for illustrative purposes. I have all of this highlight detail on the lamp of the bike. I see this nice smooth gradient from left to right going over the screen right here. And let's take a look at the scopes. I have all of my shadow detail and I still have all that nice, beautiful peaking highlight detail on the lamp right there. Actually, to make it look a little bit better, it probably wouldn't take it below, you know, 2.7, 2.8 if I was going for a darker look, you know. But let's go back to settings and let's just swap. This is wide gamut. This is the new color pipeline in Premiere Pro. This is what you've been using for years in Premiere Pro. This is a generational update in your ability to actually utilize all that glorious log and raw data in your media, knowing that you have a color tool like Lumetri that can actually respect and utilize that data in a comprehensive, modern, elegant, yet very simple to use color managed pipeline. Color management should be one of those things that 30 seconds and then it's just invisible in the background. Because we got stuff to do. We got videos to edit, we got clips to color, we got audio to mix, we got motion graphics to create, we've got clients to communicate with. We have to deliver on time and on deadline and on budget. Boy, like I don't know about you, but I've been in situations before where I am up against the line trying to meet my client deadline or trying to not go over the allotted hours they gave me to do a job. The last thing I want to be doing in that situation is messing around just blindly clicking on color management settings until I get some magic formula I don't understand to give me what I'm trying to look at in Premiere Pro. This system gives us confidence and clarity that we are actually using state-of-the-art color science and color management when we're expressing ourselves creatively and molding the shape and the look of our clips like clay. And it gives us confidence and clarity knowing that what we see here in Premiere is what we're going to see when we export. One more thing. Let's go back to the LUT conversation. Let's talk about creative LUTs, because when I first heard about this system and I was learning it myself, I thought, okay, we're doing the automatic transform. You don't need the transfer LUT. That's cool. But what about if you want to use a creative LUT? I still use them all the time. I know lots of you use them all the time. All right, so we have this clip right here. Let's go to Creative. That folder is where you would utilize, select, or upload creative LUTs to add to the end of the pipeline as an output LUT. And there's a lot of LUTs that ship natively in Premiere Pro before you load in and apply the ones that you might have downloaded or bought online somewhere. Let me go ahead and use Fuji Reala 500D. I'm going to select this Fuji one right here. And she's not looking good. Don't worry, this is not the end of the demo. This is just an intermediate step. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. I know what you're thinking. Trust me, folks, you've gone this far. Follow me to the end. It's just around the corner. So you might notice that when you're in wide gamut, you get this new little menu underneath the look menu, and it's color space. Because remember, Premiere Pro can now natively utilize and recognize and transform all of these actual color spaces that we're using in the wild when we're shooting. So all I have to do is tell Premiere Pro what the color space is of this clip that we are applying it to. Right now it's just applying a LUT onto whatever. Now I can actually say, actually Premiere, this clip is Canon C-Log 2. And now it looks a lot better. Now what I can do is just dial down that intensity of the LUT a little bit, just like that. And now I'm just gonna go back into basic correction right here, and I'm just gonna lower that exposure. Yeah, baby, that's what we want. I want the nice powdery skin. See that nice pink hue over the sky, a nice Fujifilm look to it. Let's go ahead and increase the contrast a little bit. There we go. See, I'm clipping my shadows a little bit. Let me just take that black level and just rise that up just a pinch. And why the hell not? Let's throw a little bit more saturation in there. And that's the look we want, and that's the look we're going for. Now I can apply my creative LUT, and I can just ride the primaries, if you will, and get a really decent look out of my video faster than ever before. This is because we're natively recognizing the Fuji F-Log. We are working within an ASUS CCT container. We are tone mapping appropriately in a modern pipeline down to Rec 709, and at the very end of my pipeline, I'm applying a creative LUT. I am changing the color science of that LUT to work best with Canon C-Log. And once I do all of that, I can just use the color space aware Lumetri, which is doing the same thing throughout the entire pipeline, and actually adjusting the native exposure and contrast and highlights and shadows and whites and blacks of the source log content as it should. So that's it. That's the demo. When it comes to actually color grading in Premiere Pro and learning some new cool tricks to make your stuff look better and cooler, I'll have to make another video because this one's already pretty long. Let me know if you want to see that. Hit me up with questions in the comments. I'm here for you folks. I geek out about this like crazy because I spent so many years in the color suite. But honestly, this is a lot easier than it ever has been in Premiere Pro. And you don't have to be a color scientist anymore to get great looking media and great looking sequences and great looking clips in your project. All it takes is just the knowledge of these presets, decide which preset you want, make sure your clips are tagged to the right color space if they aren't automatically, and boom, my friend, you are off to the races. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was valuable. Thank you very much. And let me know what kind of videos you want to see next. All right, have a good one.